Okay, so to kick off our session, I'd like to introduce our first presenter, Callie Angelo. Callie has been with helping adults and teens for recognize their job skills and potential, and she joined Literacy Pittsburgh as a career advisor in 2022. So Callie, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am Callie. I am here as a part of Student Services, and I represent the part that is Career Services. So if you are not already aware, Student Services is one of the newer teams at Literacy Pittsburgh. We've been around for about 2 years, 2.5 years now. And we consist of 3 groups. So we'll have one presenter for each group. But we have one career services covering employment, of course, and 2 service coordination groups that serve various people. To begin with career services, we have 2 career advisors, myself and my colleague, Drew Pelter. We also employ a full-time AmeriCorps member named Israel Centeno, and I have an intern from Duquesne who is now serving to help with resume support and help with some of the more writing focused things that people need. So the purpose of career services at Literacy Pittsburgh is to connect students or alumni with meaningful careers. And the way that we do this is through job preparation, not job placement. If you're familiar with workforce development and career services in general, you'll know exactly what that means. But if you're new to the field, that just means that we do everything leading up to the actual job of searching for jobs. So we do not have a list of open positions. I sometimes get emails from employers to advertise certain things, but we don't carry anything more than what you could find on Indeed or LinkedIn. Our job is really to connect them with training programs and resources to reflect what the student wants and needs so that they can help identify what their next steps are. The ways that that could look is through resume writing, interview skills. We try to keep a finger on the pulse of what students are finding issues with or what students are really motivated to learn. So we can then implement other job skills development or even more foundational skills like talking positively about yourself, identifying soft skills and hard skills. One of the benefits of being job preparation is that we get the flexibility and we can kind of provide some services that will last even if the student changes their mind, and it gives more flexibility that way. So breaking that down, we connect people to resources directly, whether that's training programs, learning platforms, employer networking, teaching them how to use resources that are publicly available as well. We also do mentorship and consultations. So that would be one-on-one with myself or Drew or Israel. And this can be more long-term, and we can really dig into some of the more detailed concerns that students have. And then we also try to focus on job skills development, again, so that students can carry what they learn with our team through into the rest of their professional development. Being very frank with you, we have some limitations as a group. Those limitations are translation and interpretation. We as a team do not have funding to be able to pay for professional interpretation. So we are limited to Google Translate or people bringing in family members, other informal types of translation. This is not ideal in a sense of what we would prefer for good interpreter use and practice, but it does work for what we need. So keep that in mind if you have a student who could really benefit from some things. I am happy to meet with them through Google Translate. We also sometimes make use of things like talking points or WhatsApp and keep things in written communication if that is also a preferred method. But we are not always able to meet with every single person that needs help right when they need help. Other limitations, we have a strict limit on duplicating services between us and refugee resettlement. Just because we receive the same funding, they don't want to see that somebody is getting help with us and getting help with them. And if you are not already aware, if you're teaching ESL, ESL clients who have come through resettlement are legally they're allowed to return to their resettlement agency for 5 years for career services. So if you ever have questions about if your student can work with us or work with RSS, don't worry about it. We'll talk about how to make a referral at the end of this presentation. And if you are not aware, I know how to find those answers. And there's no issue if you accidentally refer somebody who can't work with us. And then another limitation, and probably the most frustrating one, is that there's so much overlap between legal services that people need and their employment capabilities. So sometimes we'll have requests from students where they really just need help to reapply for their work authorization card, or they need help to interpret the HR paperwork they were given at a new employer. And we do not have legal advisors on staff and are not really qualified to help with that. So we have other services that we refer out to for that, but just so you're aware that we don't really help with those things. There's a few that would maybe go to service coordination. To break it down in another way, we try to make sure students know that in the same way that you can always return to your college with searching for jobs, we try to be available for students to always return to us as alumni to utilize our services. So while they're a student, there are some things that make more sense. If you're still working on your English skills or you're still working towards your GED, you probably aren't going to be applying for or finding training programs or universities. But we can still help you look at those things with the caveat that you have to wait until you get your GED to apply for them. So we're always happy to explore future plans with people. We are expanding our capacity in that way with the new College Pathways program. So we're very hopeful to provide more in detail later on. But we also always help students to find jobs in that job preparation capacity and are working on more ways to help students develop their job skills, both through instruction and through mentorship capacity with us. Yes, and this is just to highlight that we find jobs right while they're a student and after they're a student. So that alumni clause that I mentioned at the beginning. So another way to break down career services and what they look like, we offer services in a variety of different forms so that hopefully students can choose which one works best for them. We're well aware that, students are working in classes or working in tutoring relationships, and not everybody's schedule can really fit with what we have on offer. So we try to make sure that everything we do is varied, and that hopefully if something doesn't work for them now, that 3 months later we'll have that same class at a different time and you can check back. But in general, we offer workshops and information sessions. The way that we define those is single session events. And workshops are about a skill or a topic that they want to develop. And info sessions could be about a university, a school apprenticeship program, or an employer, any program that they want to take advantage of. Career classes would be the same as workshops, just a little bit longer. Currently, the only one I have control over is the Pennsylvania Women Work New Choices class, which is a crash course in everything job search, from the very beginning of writing your resume and learning how to do the professional English speak, all the way to how to negotiate a job offer. The third option, one-on-one career counseling, is our most popular. The way that that works is, for you guys, you would be having the student do a self-referral, or you would be contacting your program coordinator, who has access to a staff referral form, to have them connect with me and Drew directly. If you fill out that self-referral form, they then get a first initial meeting with Israel, the AmeriCorps member. And if he can help them directly, I consult with him. He will then help them immediately. There's often a shorter wait list for that service. And if it is necessary that the student meets with a full-time career advisor, maybe they have a more in-depth request, then he will make the staff referral to meet with us. And then the final event that I want to highlight is our career day. If you are not already aware, we do host a job fair, a small job fair at the downtown center. We try to do this every quarter, and our next one is coming up on November 21st. Sometimes we have themes for these. Usually they are in person at from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., depending on what the availability is. And these are open to Literacy Pittsburgh students, tutors, friends and family of students. We don't advertise it to the public, but it is not required that somebody be enrolled as a student to attend these. And if you want to hear more about that, we try to put them out in the newsletters. Sometimes the dates don't line up, but you can always reach out to me or check our student portal calendar to find out when the next ones are. Okay, this is saying this again, but to break it down, some of our information sessions that we offer on a repeating basis are through CCAC and Bidwell. We have done some sporadic ones for employers in the past, but these are our only repeating sessions at this time. Again, this will probably expand when we are building out the College Pathways program, but we will know more about that as it develops. The career classes that we have, again, the only one that I have direct control over is the PA Women Work New Choices class. And then our workforce development and strategic initiatives team offer other courses that are either considered bridge classes or are highly helpful for anybody in the job search trenches. We have the Microsoft certification courses on a rotating basis. They offer the associate level or the expert level, and those are in Excel, Word, and PowerPoint. I have personally taken the Excel class. They are very helpful, and we now offer the expert level of Excel. And you can, if you complete all three, I believe there's another badge that you can get. These are industry recognized certifications, so they're not just in-house certificates of learning. And these, you could go out and attain them on your own. I believe the certification course costs about $150. So with our program, our courses cover the cost of that certification for our students. Those are almost always in the evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. 2 nights a week at the downtown center. If somebody needs another time slot, we do offer other non-certification Excel courses at other varying locations and sometimes online. And you can find those in the digital skills calendar. The third course, customer service for healthcare, is a bridge class that helps people to learn different skills for non-medical direct healthcare careers. So they cover things like obviously customer service, they cover HIPAA, they use a variety of resources and pull together different skill development programs that are available through things like Skill Up or Cornell. And they have crafted a way for our students to connect to various employers. We usually bring in CareerLink and make sure people have their CareerLink accounts. I teach a few classes with them, and people are getting digital skills assistance with that class, and they're getting connections to UPMC or other employers as they request, speaking with their students. The Immigrant Workforce Program is run through Jewish Family and Community Services. It is a really similar scope to the PA Women Work class in that it is a crash course in the job search, the whole job search field, but it runs a little bit longer. And that, because it's not offered by our organization, you would just have to reach out to me or to our workforce development team, and we can tell you when the next one is as they decide to hold it. But that one is good for our more intermediate speakers, and it gives people a crash course in the program in a space that they are more comfortable speaking in if they have to reach for vocabulary. So there's a less pressure to join a class that may have a mixture of not native English speakers and non-native English speakers. The final one, English for Hospital Services roles, is it's the new rendition of our English for Housekeeping. We expanded the curriculum of that class to cover different roles within the hospitals, and it is still a primarily English course that students can then take advantage of. I think all of these things you would have to talk to your program coordinator about, because they would involve a significant change with your students' connection with you, maybe possibly a pause. There would be some more consideration there. Workshops, we have rotating workshops with Jewish Family and Community Services. We also have a consistent waitlist workshop series that includes a online career exploration opportunity and a virtual resume basics workshop that we can tailor to the expertise of the student. We also have office hours. These are offered weekly, repeating by availability. Currently, we have Mondays 10 to 12 and 1 to 3 p.m. at the downtown center, and we have resume office hours on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. If you would like to have a virtual drop-in, you can email me and I can connect you with Israel, who covers all of these office hours. And there are the tentative dates for our career day. As I said, November 21st is the next one. We're hoping to have one in February, and we don't have that date nailed down, but you can keep an eye out. And in May, around the GED graduation, we hope to have a college fair or a post-secondary transition fair covering apprenticeships and trade schools and a wider variety of things. And we also advertise partner services. So we do try to list all of the broader Jewish Family and Jewish Family and Community Services, career workshops that they offer to the public just so students can reach all of the things in a one-stop shop. We also offer PA Career Link workshops, employer information sessions. I have my intern constantly looking for new opportunities so that we can link them on the student portal calendar and make sure people can find them all as easy as possible. And I will pass it on to Lindsey. I believe we're holding all questions for the very end, correct, Najla?
That's correct. Thank you, Callie. It was a great presentation. And tutors, you can use contact information in the chat box. Okay, so up next we have Lindsey.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Lindsey. I'm a service coordinator with Literacy Pittsburgh. As Callie mentioned, there's kind of two different types of service coordinators. I'm going to go first as the Literacy Pittsburgh person, and then Katie will come after me as the Isaac. So there are two Literacy Pittsburgh service coordinators, myself and Ezekiel, and we work with your students on anything not related to career things. So if your students are having any kind of barrier or hardship in getting to work with you, we can work with them to find other organizations in the community that might be able to help them. So I like to tell the students that I meet with, you know, Literacy Pittsburgh might not provide the service, but we have partner agencies that can maybe help them. So a barrier might look like a student is trying to meet with you and they're just not able to meet with you because of something that's happening in their life. Some examples might be that, you know, they can't come to a tutoring session because they're having a hard time finding childcare for their kids. Another one might be that, you know, they may have received an eviction notice and they're struggling with finding new housing. They might be having a hard time focusing on their learning because they might have an overdue utility bill. Maybe some accessibility issues. They might be needing new clothing for their children to start school, or anything not related to jobs that might be impacting your student is something that we can help with. And these are just a few examples of that. So if you have a student who is having a hardship or a barrier to working with you or making progress in their learning, there's two ways that they can meet with a service coordinator. So one way is the self-referral, which Callie mentioned, the student portal. It's lpstudent.com. And if you go to the tab that says student support, there's a page there that just lists what we can help with, and then you can help your student to fill out that self-referral. And then that self-referral will come directly to me, and myself or Ezekiel will reach out and set up an initial meeting. The other way is you can tell your program coordinator. So the only thing that we ask is that you get permission from your student. So a student might tell you that they're having these barriers, but we ask that you say, hey, Literacy Pittsburgh might be able to help you. Can I provide your information to them? And if they say yes, then you can tell your program coordinator that, you know, they would like to meet with the service coordinator, and your program coordinator will make that referral. We just ask that you get permission from the student first to give us that information. So this is just a helpful, when do I need to refer the student? So one thing to consider is that as service coordinators, we are not emergency services. So we will help, but we cannot offer same-day emergency assistance. We also cannot help with any kind of same-day medical assistance. But if you have a student who maybe is having a hard time getting to your tutoring session because they're struggling with transportation, we can help with that. We can help if your student is maybe having some hardships in finding food resources. We can also help you, like, again, if your student's struggling with childcare, or if they're losing housing. The most important thing to know is just we are not same-day emergency services, and we let the students know that as well. Like, you know, we work traditional hours, Monday through Friday. So like, if they need something during those times, we can try to coordinate things, but, you know, any kind of emergency service we cannot help with. We also do a few events each month or during each time. So we have an office hours event similar to Callie's, but it's held at the beginning of each month, and we help students sign up for various services. So some examples might be helping your student to get a library card, helping students to either register to vote or check their voter registration. We might help with just simple one-time referrals. Examples might be helping them do a Duquesne Light CAP application, anything that we can do very kind of quickly and help your student get a single service. We also hold a waitlist event. It's normally held at the end of each month. And it's for students who are on the wait list, but any student is welcome to attend. It's just a listening event. So if you have an ELL student who just wants to practice listening English, we hold this event each month, and we talk about things that are happening in Pittsburgh, different events. So the one in November, we'll talk about every event that might be going on in December. We'll talk about different holidays, it's just a great way for your students to practice listening to English and get to know like Pittsburgh and the American culture a little bit better. So if you have anybody that wants to attend that, it typically goes out to both the tutor newsletter and the student newsletter. So it's a virtual event. So we encourage you to, if you have a student who wants to practice that, to invite them to do so. We also hold a resource fair. We typically hold 2 each year, one in the fall and one in the spring. We held one just this past week, and we invite different partner vendors to come, traditionally like 4 to 6 people. So examples might be the food bank might come, or Dress for Success, the Financial Empowerment Center, anything that might be able to provide resources to our students. They come to the downtown center. They maybe give like short presentations on what they can offer to our students, and then anything that our students can sign up with that organization for, they can help with that too. And so I will turn it over to Katie, who will talk a little bit more about specifically Isaac service coordination.
Thanks, Lindsey. And Lindsey's contact information will be in the chat box as well. Go ahead, Katie. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Katie Bulova. I'm so happy to meet you, and I want to let you know that I started at Literacy Pittsburgh years ago as a tutor. I did just general literacy, and then I ran an ESL class, and then most recently I worked with a student, a one-on-one online during the pandemic. And so I appreciate what you're doing, and I want to tell you a little bit about the Isaac program. Isaac stands for Immigrant and Refugee Services in Allegheny County. It's a grant administered through Allegheny County through Jewish Family Services, JFCS. And there are a bunch of partner agencies in the South Hills and the North Hills, all over the city. And what we're trying to do is offer services for people who need more support navigating systems. We serve immigrants, we serve children of immigrants, we serve refugees. Give you some quick criteria. Service coordination is for people who have complex needs, and it's for 6 months. So I work with a client, we set some goals, and we have 6 months to complete these. And we have a waiting list. We currently have about 50 people who've done intake. And with a 6-month limit, it allows us to serve as many people as possible. The distinction between Isaac and the other service coordination is that these clients meet the criteria. And we also provide interpretation, which is a big deal, to provide support to people. And how do you become a part of Isaac? You would do it through self-referral, and I'll provide a link in a second so you could help your student navigate this, or a staff referral. And that really is the best course of action. If you think that you have a student who needs support services, you should reach out to your service coordinator. And the sort of things that we would provide support for are the same things that Lindsey was talking about. If someone's having troubles paying rent, or finding an apartment, or navigating food services, they're having trouble connecting with their children's school and they need to communicate with a teacher, or they need legal support. We do overlap in a lot of these things. It's just sometimes, just like in our own lives, you have other things that come in. Maybe you have also a profound medical condition, or you have a child who has a medical condition, or things have gotten tight and someone got sick and you can't pay rent that month. And just like everybody else, things can become insurmountable very quickly. So Isaac is there to help people navigate these systems. You can go to the next slide, Callie. Thank you. So I talked a lot about this. So there's a pretty, there are some criteria, and if you don't have it, you can't do it. We cannot work with people on student visas or tourist visas. I do have clients who don't have documentation. We can also work with people who were raised in outside the United States, but are the children of US citizens. And we do have partner agencies, and I want to recognize them. Isaac also works with Casa San Jose, the South Hills Interfaith Movement, which is SHIM, and the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, and many faith-based agencies. And networking together, we have a pretty robust referral list, which is really helpful in providing services. You can go to the next one. Thank you. So can you just walk in? No, not necessarily, but Isaac has 2 branches, and I don't know why this is the name, but we do office hours. And what office hours is if someone at Literacy Pittsburgh was attending a class and they had a crisis, you could try and get into office hours. So maybe you needed support looking for an apartment. Someone in office hours, an Isaac staff member, their job is to provide that support. They would still have to schedule an appointment, but they would have language translation to help you achieve a goal. If it's too much for office hours, that's when you're referred to the Isaac program for the 6-month service coordination. So you can't just walk in, but you can get 2 different kinds of service. If you need to connect one of your students to services, you can click directly on the Isaac link. It takes you to the Isaac website. It gives you background on the program. But really, your best course of action is to reach out to your tutor coordinator first, because this isn't your students' needs shouldn't be something that you are trying to solve yourself. You should reach out to the agency to make sure we can connect them to the existing partners that we have, and to make sure they're getting the best access to the services that are available. And that's it. So how can you find out more information about our team? I think that this is for the student portal.
Yeah, so now we are kind of merging back all together. The student portal, you can use the QR code to get directly here. But you will see on that website, there are tabs on there for calendar, jobs, support. So you can find tons of resources on that calendar. And then once a month, we try to update slides so that you can see just the highlights of what is going on at the agency. There is also all of the self-referral forms on there at the appropriate forms. And we can show those during the questions if you would like to see the portal played out. Sorry. So we have a little activity here. And Lindsey or Katie, if anybody else wants to lead it, please feel free to jump in. But we have some scenarios.
I was gonna say, maybe we can each do one scenario.
Sure, that works. So we have some scenarios. You're going to read the brief description of what your fake student is going through, and we will, I mean, Najla, it's up to you if you want to continue recording, or we could make it raise your hands or unmute yourself if you want to stop recording.
I can stop recording as long as it's going to be like a question about students. But